when you look at somebody who's having some success or no, in anything, not just for America, in anything, a lot of times you judge, what you're doing based on what they're doing. If y'all have been in for about the same amount of time, or maybe you about the same age, and just like Art Williams always said, compete, don't compare. What you have to understand is what that person's driving force is. You know what I'm saying? You can't base your success or the speed with which you're doing something on somebody else just because maybe y'all been in the same amount of time. I've been here not quite 3 years yet. It hadn't been 3 years yet. And in that period of time, what we've been blessed to do, what we worked hard enough to put together is an organization. My income over the last 12 months has been right at about 330,000. I have an RVP, who's at $200,000 in income. She's been around for about not quite 2.5 years yet. So, we've put together some pretty good things. I got a $50,000 earner in my base shop who'll be at 100,000. She'll go to RVP. I got about 5 people in the base shop right now who before the convention have a legitimate shot. They've all run 15,000 and 10 recruits, 15,000, 15 recruits. So they all have a legitimate shot at that. But I think that all of that came, and Jimmy asked me to tell you a little bit about really the history, you know what I'm saying, kind of where I came from. But even before I came, what was put in my mind and where my mindset came from. And my grandfather was actually, he was an educator. Okay, from a little time, everybody know Britney Spears, right? She's from a city called Kentwood. Actually, it's not even a city. Okay, it's got like one stoplight in it. All right, Kentwood, Louisiana. That's where my Britney's dad and my dad played on a high school football team together. So I knew Brittany before she was Brittany, when he used to bring me over to his hometown. And my grandfather, you got to understand rural, well, we're in Florida, so I mean, we're still in the South, but you understand South Louisiana, okay? Louisiana in 40s and 50s. And, he was an entrepreneur. He was he was an educator, and education was real big with him. He was actually the principal of the school that, that's where all the black kids went. He was the principal of that school. And it was funny because he in the mid 50s, he wanted to go to LSU. He wanted to go to LSU and get his master's degree. He already had his undergraduate degree from Southern. He wanted to get his master's. And at the time, the state of Louisiana, LSU, they weren't ready for that. So what they did was they said, you can't come to school here, but instead we'll just pay for you to go to Michigan State. The state of Louisiana will pay for you to go with Michigan State instead of letting you come to LSU. So, he ended up, going to Michigan State, got his master's degree, was a principal. And when my dad came along and had an opportunity to break the color line, it was funny because they wouldn't let my grandfather go to Louisiana State University, but this was before recruiting violations and all that. The governor of Louisiana came and recruited my father to come to LSU. With Press Maravich, who, some of y'all might know Pistol Pete Maravich. His dad was coaching at LSU at the time. And so, my dad ended up going to LSU and was the first African-American to go to LSU and, went on, had a phenomenal career there. After that, he went and, played in the NBA for a little while. And then he, became a business owner. And, it was funny because, LSU, they wouldn't pay for my grandfather, but they ended up paying for my father. And my father also got a master's degree there. And really his whole career, everything that, that we've done has been in the Baton Rouge area and surrounding area as a result of my father's relationship with LSU. So it's funny how things come full circle, right? And then I came up, my parents were always entrepreneurs. And so I always knew that I was going to go into business. See, if you come up with parents, see, Jimmy and Tammy's children have a totally different perspective on life than he had because it came up with parents that were entrepreneurs. So that's why I heard Jimmy up here talking. You got to be the next person in your family. All right, you have to be the person in your family to change the direction, to change the mindset. Right? See, I was exposed to parents who I remember vividly I was first grade. This is the first time I remember being on an airplane. Okay. Wednesday, they picked me up from school and I didn't know what was going on. They hadn't told us. They just picked us up, took us to Disney World. All right. We were going for a week. Now, you can't do that if you got a job. right? But they're entrepreneurs, business owners, successful business owners. So I came up with the mindset that you're supposed to be in charge. You're supposed to run a business. You know, I was always taught to be a leader, be a winner. And you are a winner. You're a leader. You're supposed to be running things. You know what I'm saying? And that's the mindset I came up with. You know what I'm saying? As parents, I can't wait till I start having children and I can instill that mindset in them, because that's honestly the main reason why I've experienced success in Primerica. Because everything that Bill Whittle told me and getting ready for and learning, my dad had already told me. It was just I had to make it work with Primerica. You know what I'm saying? I've always been positioned, I feel, and always been trained to be successful in this business. I just didn't know that that's what I was being trained to be successful in. And so, I was taught to be you're supposed to be a leader. You're supposed to be a winner. I remember in middle school, I went to a predominantly white middle school. I mean, like 90%. But in my mind, that didn't make any difference. I was supposed to, if I was a leader and I was a good leader, it didn't matter if I was white, black, purple, pink, yellow. It didn't matter, right? If you're the leader, you're the leader, right? And in my mind, everybody would be able to see that. It didn't matter. So, y'all, I'm wearing blue because the Maniac's color is supposed to be blue, right? Okay. And so my mindset was always, you're supposed to be the lead dog. You're supposed to be out front. And I say most people, and if that's not the way you came up, you shouldn't use that as a crutch. You just need to use that as a motivation why you have to make it so your kids can come up that way. Right? And so, I was president of middle school and I was a point guard on the basketball team. And, I was always taught you're supposed to be. And then at the same time, my dad using different things from an athletic arena to train me and to teach me. My mom was always standing on me about my, academics, and never because you're supposed to get good grades so you can go to a good college so you can go get a good job, right? That never was it. That was just you're supposed to be number one, and so if we're gonna be competing, then we might as well compete in the classroom too, And so I was competing in everything, really in high school, and I've heard Rich Falcone say this before, how he used to make his kids move wood around the backyard just to teach them to work hard. I remember vividly my dad doing the same kind of stuff to me, Jimmy. We used to, and he was doing some renovations to the house, and he'd have a pallet of bricks right here. And he said, you know what? We need to get those bricks moved about 15 feet over there. And we move them, and then like 3 days later, he say, no, we need to move them back. And he used to just have me do that stuff just really to, number one, see my reaction, because if I was even remotely thinking, if I even made a halfway made a face, oh, let me hurry get the bricks, you know what I'm saying? Okay, and none of that. Do that and see the coachability. I learned coachability early on. Do it and do it fast and do it with a smile on your face. So, these are all some of the things that I was taught early on. It's almost like I was brainwashed to be successful in Primerica since I was like 6 years old. And then high school, I remember when I first started high school, I was about 5'7", 125 pounds soaking wet, about size 13 shoe. Some of the guys the older guys, 11th to 12th grades, used to make fun of me, call me ski foot, L, because I was shaped like an L. I was real thin, but I just learned, I learned that was a part of the deal. You know what I'm saying? First grade, ninth grade, and I really started setting goals. I learned how to start setting goals when I was in the 6th, 7th grade. Isn't that a big part of what we do? Set goals? And so I remember in high school vividly setting a goal when I was a freshman. I learned to set short-term goals and long-term goals. I want to make the varsity team. Nobody in my high school, nobody played on the varsity if they were in 9th grade. That just didn't happen. And then I set a long-term goal, 4 years from now, I want a major Division I college team to pay for my school. Okay. Now I had been a ball boy at LSU while Shaquille was there. I'm still pretty close with Shaquille, and then Chris Jackson, who has since changed his name. Some of y'all who know about college athletics, is one of the most prolific freshman scorers in the history of college basketball. And so I had relationships with these guys. So I saw when LSU was at its pinnacle. You know what I'm saying? And so when I was in high school, I learned that you have to work hard. One of the things my dad always told me that he got from his grandfather. And this is kind of going back. He said, you can't get ahead staying in the bed. So with somebody earlier today asked me, what's your schedule like? And I told him I'm up and I'm at least seeing somebody at 7:30. And he was like, man, I mean, that was late. I mean, that's late compared to what I used to do. I mean, when I was in ninth grade, you know, I was working out and I made the varsity team. And not only did I make it my first game as a varsity basketball player, I scored 22 points as a freshman. So the next year comes, second year comes, I set a goal. I want to make a all district team. So I led the team in scoring that year, and I was all district. The third year comes, and I started growing. So I was about 5'10" my sophomore year. My junior year comes, I get to about 6'11". You know what I mean? 6'11". I wish I ain't 6'11 yet. 6'1". All right. I shrunk, and I grew and then shrunk. Okay. But I mean, the funny thing, guys, and I've read it. I've read it in books. I lived it, but I started reading it in books. It's funny when you do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? You write your goals down, and then you actually work as you write the goals down, and you start almost brainwashing yourself. Stuff just starts happening to help you be successful. You know what I'm saying? Now, it probably didn't hurt that my dad was 6'8", okay? But I grew to about 6'1" my junior year, and I started getting a bunch of accolades, all state and all of that. And then it's funny because when you start experiencing a little bit of success, all right, like Maria, you got your watch, and now it's gonna start getting a little harder. You're gonna start having more people coming at, because I remember vividly articles being written in the paper. The only reason College Temple is being considered, because before my senior year, I signed a scholarship with LSU. So I had accomplished my goal. But people started saying that was a waste of a scholarship. The only reason he's doing that is only reason they gave him a scholarship because his dad played there. It's just a legacy deal. He won't play. That's a waste of a scholarship. They could have given that to somebody else. Now, granted, my senior year, I averaged 30 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds. But the only reason they were giving me a scholarship was because of my dad. Right? I don't get that one, you know what I'm saying? He didn't get out there and do the deal, right? You know, but that's what people were saying. I remember my senior year, I woke up every morning between 4:45 and 5 a.m., junior, senior year, and worked out. Lifted weights, ran, you know what I'm saying? Because I knew that I had to get my level of athleticism up. So I left college. I left for college and was about 6'3", 6'4". So I had grown and I had gotten a little bit bigger. And then when I went to LSU, it wasn't any different. Everybody doubted me once I got to LSU. You know, and the funny thing, everything happens for a reason, right? But the very first day of practice. Now, Jimmy, this never happens, okay? We were in layup lines the very first day of practice, and we had just gone through our first practice that morning, and we were doing like the fan day. And LSU had a football game, and so they were doing it in the middle of the day. And everybody was running and dunking the ball, and the crowd started getting hyped, so I want to go run and dunk too, okay? So I was going up under the basket to reverse dunk, and I twisted so hard, a tendon popped out of my hip. Obviously it didn't bust all, it wasn't like that, okay? It was. So I run to the end of the line, and I'm like, man, coach, something's wrong. I can't breathe. You know, I couldn't stand up straight. And, you know, he's like, oh, you all right, go keep playing. I was like, no, I'm really hurt. So I go on the side, I lay down, I can't get back up. They got to carry me out of the arena. Layup lines, no contact. All right, you know this had to have happened for a reason. All right, you don't get hurt in layup lines on the first day of practice for the season. That doesn't happen, okay? So, you know, the funny thing, but that's when I started learning to take a negative, really, and make it into a positive. Because I remember laying there and I was like, man, Dad, they already think it was a waste of a scholarship for them to give me one in the first place. And now I can't even practice with the team. I can't even be a practice dummy. You know, and so the funny thing was that year, you know, I sat down with my parents and I started really learning about setting a plan up. Because I set a plan up and I said, you know what? When I was in high school, I used to take 6 classes while I was playing ball. Why can't I take 6 classes in college while I'm playing ball? I didn't know any different, right? So I scheduled 19 hours and had all A's. You know what I'm saying? And then I came back in the second semester, I actually could move around and could practice a little bit, but I had already decided to redshirt that year. I mean, I had already took a medical redshirt. So after the first year, I had a bunch of hours taken. Long story short, we set a plan up. I graduated college, got my business degree, after 3 years. So I had I had already my first year redshirted, so freshman year, sophomore year, and I already got my degree. I got 2 years left to play. Now to think about this, remember they didn't pay for my grandfather's education, but they already paid for my undergrad degree, and I still got 2 years left. One of the things my dad always taught me: if they got a buffet, you get as much as you can get. It's free. That's what you gotta understand. With Primerica, they got a money buffet. Some of y'all not taking advantage of it. That's one of the reasons I just take advantage. They're giving it to you, right? Why not grab it all? Right? So the next year comes, I got my master's degree. I was actually working on an MBA, but I didn't like the fact that it seemed like they were building corporate robots. So I got out of that after the first semester. I ended up just getting my master's degree. And at that junior year, I really had a great year. I mean, I was coming out, everything was working out great. But you know, as things started moving forward, this is a quote that I learned. You need to use the haters as motivators. Because you have a lot of people hating on you, talking negative, trying to pull you down, not wanting you to be successful. The main reason they're doing that is because if you're successful, it exposes them for the whatever you want to call them, whatever they are, the non-competitive, the non-committed, the lazy, whatever it is about them. If you win, then it exposes them. So they don't want you to win. So you learn to use the haters as motivators. So I'm moving forward. Junior year, everything's looking great, right? I'm looking forward to an NBA career. In fact, my junior year, I was averaging big numbers coming out of the SEC. I'm ready. All right. Halfway through the season, I'm thinking, I already got my degree, and I'm putting up these kind of numbers. I can go pro. I can go in and put my name in the draft a year early. Breaking away. Every time I was trying to dunk, something happened to me. I learned that after the fact. You know what I'm saying? I'm on a breakaway, jump to do a 360. Ankle. Turns out. I tried to keep coming back, had a couple of decent games, but I ended up tearing my, tendon in half of my ankle. So that year was done. Had to get surgery, and that year was over with. Started thinking I had already arrived, right? And all of a sudden, that's when I went down. And something kind of has like that in Primerica, right? We get that district promotion, we think we've arrived, and we start working. We get that division promotion, we think we've arrived, we start working. Regional leader promotion, RVP promotion. RVP is just the start. You better go to work harder after you get that promotion than before. Okay, Van, you better not go play no golf on no Tuesdays. Cause Van, I don't take days off, Van. Ain't no days off. Not in the big leagues. All right, education. So I learned to stay focused. I plan totally on playing pro basketball. And I learned everything happens for a reason. Because I'm telling you, that was it. I'm going into my senior year, it wasn't quite as good as my junior year, but it was good enough. Detroit asked me to come play on the summer league team. Summer league happens, I'm in. Larry Brown coaching me. It was great. I was playing I was here in Orlando. I was playing in where the Magic play at, in the arena. You know what I'm saying? It was phenomenal. It was a great feeling, Get back, working out early one morning, 6 a.m. Now, the funny thing, once again, everything happens for a reason, right? Friend of mine said, I need you to come talk to some kids at a church, Collis. Okay, I'm going to go talk, and he said, want me to sign some autographs? He asked me to do that on a Saturday. I'd go talk on Saturday, and the funny thing happened, he tried to pay me for doing some, volunteer work. I said, man, you don't pay me for that. But I was training, and he did offer a free lunch. So I said, I'll take that, especially because he gave me a nice restaurant, right? So I said, okay, I'll take that. He said, there's a guy named Bill Whittle's going to be there. I said, yeah, I remember that guy. He played with my dad at LSU. They were roommates. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really, you know somebody, but you don't know him. I knew he had a phenomenal lifestyle because I used to see, because his basketball teams during the summer, because he used to coach his son, had the best of everything. They had 3 different uniforms they wear. They'd be driving up in like 3 different Escalades in a caravan, you know what I'm saying? Where does all this money come from? He used to fly them everywhere, first class, hit the team first class. So I knew he had a lot of money. I never knew what he did. I just knew he had a lot of money. My dad used to say, yeah, he calls Bill Whittle Whit. Yeah, Whit make a bunch of money. He does that insurance thing. He makes a bunch of money. That's what he called insurance thing. So now, my dad, actually, extremely successful, one of the actually the largest African-American business person in the state of Louisiana, has like 500 employees in Louisiana. So he does very well for himself also. But that day, I met with Bill Whittle at lunch. Now, 6 hours before that, 6 a.m., I'm running stadiums at Tiger Stadium. Already my surgically repaired ankle, running down the stadium. Now, you understand, it's about 110,000 people fit in Tiger Stadium. I was the only one in there, and it was twilight. Okay, so, the sun just coming up. I'm running down. I've already gone up. I'm running down. I'm about on number 9. I do about 10 of them. All right, I'm coming down. Ankle goes out. Now, from 6 to 24, all I ever wanted to do was play in the NBA. And I was right there. I was in. I was going back for training camp. If you get to training camp, you pretty much a lock. I had these different coaches. Van Gundy, he was coaching I was actually playing against LeBron and Dwayne Wade. Okay. And I was in. It was it. That was just, I was going through formality. And I got hurt, and I sat down on the bleachers and I started crying. Because all I ever wanted to do was play in the NBA. That just wasn't what was put, that I found out. That's not why I was put here, though. See, the two reasons I wanted to go to the NBA was, number one, besides the fact that it's the NBA, okay, and you playing at the highest level, okay, and but the first thing was just the impact that I knew I was going to be able to make as a result of making so much money. If you're making $750,000, $1 million and a half a year, you can do a lot of good things if you're the right kind of person. Wouldn't you agree? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I saw the lifestyle, and that was going to be sick, unbelievable. Because I got to experience a little bit of it in the summer league. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, that room y'all put us in, I know when I get to the point where I start taking care of speakers, I'm going to put them in rooms like you got us in right now. That's the kind of room they put me in with the Detroit. And I walked in there, I said, I know somebody must be rooming with me up in here. And I was like, and then nobody showed up. I was like, okay, that's fine. This is all mine. So I got a chance to experience that lifestyle a little bit then. So I knew the impact in the lifestyle, I knew it was going to be unbelievable. And the funny thing that happened, though, when I got hurt and I saw the opportunity, it's 6 a.m. I got hurt. Now, I don't know what I'm meeting. I just know I got a free lunch at 12 o'clock. It's 6 a.m. There's only been 6 hours in my life. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. From 6 years old from consciousness to 24, I was playing in the NBA. That was it. I mean, if anybody even remotely said anything close to, well, what about a backup? Now, you understand I had an undergrad degree, a master's degree. My senior year, I was working on a PhD in education. I wasn't trying to get a PhD. I just knew it might help my draft stock. But it sounded good. So I was working on a PhD. And, but I knew what I wanted to do. Everything else was to help me get to the NBA. Everything I was doing was help me get to the NBA. I got hurt. For 6 hours, I was shaky. I limped into this place where I'm supposed to be, Bill Whittle, halfway kind of lost. And he shows me the opportunity. And he tells me that he made about $250,000 last month. I mean, that's what he was telling me at the time. He actually made like $350,000 last month. But that was 3 years ago. But he said, yeah, I made about, $225,000, $250,000 last month. And I was thinking, said that he made a lot of money. I didn't realize he made that much money. And so, he showed me the opportunity. And I said, I found it. 6 hours. And this is winners or chasers. See, some of y'all begging people to try to get in this deal. He had to beg me. He said, this is what he did. This was his close. This is how he closed me. Take the information, give me a call in a couple of days. Couldn't go to sleep that night. Wrote 160 people down. Woke up at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then 5 o'clock. Knew I couldn't call him at 5 a.m., so I waited till 7. Called him at 7, said, I'm ready. He said, when can we get together? I said, what you doing today? We got together at lunchtime. After lunchtime, we need to get together in a couple of days to fill your paperwork out. What you doing right now? He takes me back to the office. I'm in sweatpants. I mean, that's what I was dressed in. You know, I didn't know anything about what was really going on. I just knew what he showed me on that flip chart thing. So he shows me. I jump in full time right away. Right away. Call my agent. I had forgotten about the agent. I had forgot, I need to call him. Tell him I ain't coming, you know? So I called the agent I met with him on Monday. I didn't talk to the agent till Saturday because the agent called my dad. Hey, look, man, I know he got hurt again. That's okay because the NBA teams have started backing off. So if you're on the bubble and you get hurt, they back off. So I was kind of I was in, but I was still kind of on the bubble. But he already been working overseas, so he got me a deal in Italy, $150,000 in Italy. He called me. Hey, Collis, we got this deal. They want to pay for your house, your car. They're gonna let you rehab as long as you don't play this shit. It doesn't matter. They're gonna pay you $150 in Italy. I told him, don't worry about it, man. I don't have a license yet. I've been in this thing for 6 days. I don't know nothing. I say, I found what I'm doing, man. He said, I know you think you want to do this for the rest of your life, man, but that's going to wear off. Come on, you need to get, this is what you've been working for. I said, I found this, man. I'm retired. I'm done. Now, you got to ask yourself if you believe in it enough the way you would have made that same decision. Because I knew that I was going to be, if he was going to come from making $15,000 a year as a high school basketball coach and social studies teacher and making $250,000 a year, he was flesh and bones, I was flesh and bone. He was a man, I was a man. If he could get there, I could get there. See, some of y'all don't believe that though, right? Well, I didn't have this. Bill Whittle's dad died when he was 11 years old. You know what I'm saying? He pretty much was handling this business by himself when he was 14, 15 years old. He didn't have the same thing I had, right? But he made it. So there are no really excuses except for the ones you come up with. You only need one not to win, but you got a bunch of reasons to win though, right? So, it's funny, but I got in the business and I was totally coachable. Whatever he said, I was okay. He said, he told me, and I'll go through a couple of things tomorrow that he told me, but real quick, he told me about 8531. He told me see 30 people in 30 days. He told me to, he told me a couple of different things. Whatever he said, I did. I didn't do it. He told me see 30 people in the next 30 days. I saw 40 in the next 3 weeks. Whatever he told me to do, I did that plus more. And that's what I've been doing since I've been in the business. See, coachability, it's not just doing what the coach says, it's doing what the coach says and then some. I remember, think about this. In college, I remember the coach saying, Collis, you have to stop waking up at 5 and shooting. You're not giving your body enough time to rest. Would the coach tell you that? Stop, you're working too hard? Would you be accused of working too hard? Best part about Primerica, you almost can't work too hard. It's called collapsing time frames if you work hard in Primerica, you see? And the funny thing, guys, even if and I got a great example. I'm so proud to be able to bring these next folks up and let them say something for, the next 6, 7 minutes. The couple I brought me, James and Sade Holloway, it's funny because we've already had different examples of people who came up here who the person that invited them really didn't amount to a whole lot. And, they didn't even, may have not even have stayed. In these folks' case, the first guy I brought to the opportunity meeting, I brought 4 people to the opportunity meeting. My best friend, my brother, okay, a guy who plays for in the NFL right now, and this guy who was, about 5 years older than me, real good friend of mine who was actually in the PhD program at LSU. So he was gonna figure it all out, right? So he comes, those were the 4 first people. The guy with a PhD signed up the next day. Never really did a whole lot, but he brought me to these people. This guy has since gotten his PhD, and he's moved to Texas, and he's teaching at University of Texas. In fact, he just called me about 5 minutes ago, but he brought me to these folks. You know what I'm saying? So you never know. You can't run people off when they don't blow it up, right? Keep them around, keep loving on them, stay positive. You'll never know who they bring you to. This couple got in the business about 1.5 years ago, all right? And, I'll let them go through their story real quick, but James, Sade, come on up. They actually got in the business, and, obviously they'll tell you where they're from and all of that kind of stuff, but the way that I chose them to come tonight, because I had, like I said, I got a couple of different real strong folks on our team that are doing some very positive powerful things. The last 2 months, like I said, they've done back-to-back 15,000 now, 10 months, and that's what they were division leaders and got promoted to regional leader doing those numbers. So they won this trip because of that, okay? But when you find out where they came from, you see even more why it was such a big deal of them doing 15,000, 10 to get to this point. So James and Shante Holloway.
Thank you. Thank you, Collis. First of all, we always want to put God first and just thank him for allowing us to, come into and be introduced to a business opportunity like this. Uh, thank Jimmy and Tammy Myers for allowing us to tag along here because we realize we're just pups in this thing. We're barely getting this thing started. We really hadn't done anything yet. We definitely appreciate that. And then also Collis Tibble and Bill Whittle and just the leadership that they provide. But myself, this is my wife, Shante Holloway. I'm James Holloway. Like you said, thank you. Um, just newly promoted regional leaders in the company. Last month we were promoted to regional. Um, the way Collis and I met, actually, well, you just saw he played ball at LSU. He was the man playing the ball and stuff. I just played pickup ball in the rec when he off season, and that's how we met. So it wasn't nothing there, but he was doing his thing, and I knew what happened. I knew he went to Detroit and he hurt himself. And it's funny how the Lord kind of put things on your mind. I didn't know what he was going to be doing after that, but the thought had crossed my mind, and we weren't really too close of friends. But I was just thinking, man, I wouldn't mind working with a company, whoever he works with, because I knew it was going to be something where he was helping people, and I also knew it was going to be something where he probably get a chance to get paid what he was worth. So I was kind of in on that too. At the time, my wife and I we were majoring in biology at Louisiana State University. On the way to medical school, kind of our parents put that in our heart, and we had some examples of aunts and uncles that made pretty good money, but what do we know about quality of life as far as time and money? I mean, I had some aunts and uncles that made a lot of money, but they had kids and they never spent time with them. And when I started looking at the facts and what was presented to me in this company, I was like, well, I want more than that. I want to be able to have the time and the money. And so, what happened was we ended up bumping into the first guy that Collins ever recruited, Joe Lott, and introduced the opportunity to us. We came in and, the good thing was we were open to the opportunity. The bad thing was from a market standpoint, we didn't have one. So, we came in here and we're actually, was born in Shreveport, raised in California. My wife was born in San Bernardino, California. And so, when we graduated high school, we came back out there. So we didn't know anybody. And so for a while, we kind of, got into this deal of, just prospecting and so forth. And we hear talk about, being coachable and plugging into a system. Well, he was the perfect example of what to do. We were the perfect example of what not to do. So we kind of just got out there and started running, as long as it's active, activity is the key. And so I'm gonna kind of let my wife talk about how we went through our phases and not being coachable.
Okay, Khan's gonna laugh at me about what I'm about to say, but I gotta tell my story. He had invited us to his office because we was a 3-pointer, not a 4-pointer and above, which meant we just married, a homeowner, and fully employed. So he got us there and he was like, I'm gonna tell you how something is gonna explode your business. It's gonna do the same thing for yours. He said, are you guys coachable? So we look at each other, yeah, we coachable. We can do, we got it. We got this. He explained the system, which was the A531, and, in the right market. Well, we didn't hear the right market. We just heard A531
Right.
and went out and just started doing anything. Maybe we just made up our own system and found that didn't work. And one day, Bill Whittle came into the office and had invited Collis's team out to Chili's. And because Bill Whittle's a real good leader in doing that as far as, overlapping leadership. And he had sat down with the team and he was talking to James. And he had really, bust us up about how we wasn't doing what we supposed to do. And I'm gonna let James tell you that because I wasn't there at the office. Everybody else in the office knows about it. And this is what really exploded our business.
Yeah. So I think, we all have points where we think we're doing the right things and we think we're being coachable in the whole 9 yards. And I felt like I was being coachable. I mean, when you're doing something and they say that's selectively being coachable. That's what Collis told me it was. Say, well, you were selectively being coachable. Well, I didn't feel like that. I thought I was doing the right thing until we went to the restaurant, sat down with Bill and Bill and Collins and a couple of other guys. And so we started talking about goals, and mine were just, ours were totally out of the box as far as where we were and where we planned on being. And so, thank God that we were able to just take what he said. Honestly, he was pretty much, well, that whole thing is garbage. Kind of, you can either get your feelings hurt or decide to, start playing and really do something. And so we kind of just revamped everything. And two of the main things that we really started doing that helped us, explode within about the last 4 months is really started just writing our goals down every day and every night. And it's funny when you kind of program yourself to become fanatical about something, to keep something on your mind. When you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed at night, when you're thinking about that and you're dreaming about that at night, that's what causes, the creativity and all that stuff to come about. So that's one of the major things that happened. Then another thing was that we 8531, we finally understood it. So if they weren't married, if they didn't have children, the whole 9 yards, and if there weren't at least 4 pointers, then we were going to go ahead and we didn't have time. So we finally understood that. And through that, we stopped spinning wheels and we end up, just like Collis said, running about a $15,000 base shop for the last 2 months. This month, we'll go over $20,000 and over 15 recruits. And, in our goals for the coming up convention in June 2007 is to have a $50,000 base shop with 40 recruits, have 20 licenses that month, and at that same time, get our Power Builder ring. And so, you guys, just to let you know, the price, you do have to pay a price here in order to get what you want. But the bottom line is, wherever we go, we're going to have to pay a price anywhere else. And so we just want to think about, is the price where we're going to go somewhere else, is it going to pay off the same way they're just going to pay here? Thank you guys so much.
That's a great example, right? If you got a bunch of folks like that, you can win, huh? Bill Whittle told me when I got into business that, most people, Kyles, get the region vice president in 18 to 24 months. If he told me most people get there in 18 to 24 months, I said, I'll do it in 9. I didn't know what an RVP was. He says, people get the RVP in 18 to 24 months. I said, if most people do it in that amount of time, I'll do it in 9. I started writing my goals down, doing all those things. I didn't do it right away. Okay, because I already knew what I had been doing was successful. I wrote it down and put it somewhere where I could see it every day. That's what I had always done since I was in the 6th grade. But I had to take my coachability to another level. I started doing it. I ended up going to RVP in 10 months. All right, and so what drew me to the opportunity? The money was first, okay, honestly. Then the freedom, the lifestyle. But the third thing was funny, the opportunity to be able to help other people do it. So you can make a lot of money doing a lot of different things, okay? But there's very, very, I don't know anywhere else you can go, and the only way that you make a lot of money is if you train other people and show them how to make a lot of money. See, I got recruited to a lot of other, especially in Baton Rouge. I just finished playing ball there. A lot of other companies started trying to recruit me once I came and started seeing some success with Primerica. It's just funny how they want to start recruiting me to come do it now, right? But I remember vividly, and it don't matter, I don't know compliance, it don't matter. Merrill Lynch, okay? This guy from Merrill Lynch came up to me and was like, Collis, you need to come work with us. You can come work with me. I make $1 million a year. This was his recruiting line to me. I make $1 million a year. Don't you want to work with somebody that makes $1 million a year? I was like, if he only knew, right? The guy I was working with was making way more than him, okay? So, and then I say, okay, well, and I'm entertaining the guy, and he gave me his card. I said, well, don't y'all cater to the affluent market? Don't y'all deal with the wealthy, upper echelon? He said, yeah. I said, well, what programs do y'all have in place to help middle Americans get to that point at some point? He said, middle Americans? He said, I'm not worried about any poor people. I said, I appreciate it. I gave him his card. I did just like this. I said, I had the card. I put it in my pocket. I took it out of my pocket. I said, thanks, man, and walked off. Okay? But that's because I had been around Primerica enough to understand if we don't do what we do, then nobody will do what we do. There's nobody out there that's trying to do what we do. And so the opportunity to help other people get financially independent. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and I was just telling them it felt so much better to see Yvette Henderson get promoted to regional vice president. That's the promotion I promoted out. She was making $95,000 as a mechanical engineer. Had 4 children, all in high school and middle school. $95,000. Had been doing it for 15 years. right? And I recruited her into this. She got started part-time, never planned on going full-time, except after 10 months, she had already made $50,000 part-time. So she became full-time. Her first month as an RVP, after 15 months, she made $22,000 her first month as an RVP. And, she's over, the rest is history. She's over $200,000 now. But I sold out and turned down $150,000 in Italy because I knew that this was the opportunity that I was supposed to be a part of. I knew that this is where I was supposed to be. Okay? You need to ask yourself if this is where you're supposed to be. See, I'm more sold out to this deal now than I was even when I got in. I'm more sold when I turned down the money in Italy. I was obviously sold out to it. It's better now because I see it, because I've done it and I've helped somebody else do it. See, there's no success without a successor, right? So once I help somebody else get to $200,000 in income, and you got to do it for yourself. Nobody can get you there, right? I didn't get Yvette Henderson and Eddie Henderson to $200,000. I just showed them a path. I was an example of what they should be doing, and I just kept them between, kept them out of the ditches. All right, I just kept them out of the ditches and gave them an example of where they should be going. Winners, winners are chasers. They're gonna go get it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to beg them. Okay, now that don't mean you drop people, but at the same time, you gotta understand, guys. Have you made a decision that this is where you're supposed to be? I hope so, because I'm telling you, you're in the right place at the right time. Appreciate it. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the concept of 8531. Really the concept of just getting people to district leader, because everything that we do revolves around building district leaders, right? District leader is the single most important promotion that I believe a person can get, because once you get to district, your job becomes promoting district leaders. And the more you can promote, the faster you can promote them, the quicker you can get to region vice president. So everything that we do revolves around the concept of 8531. And obviously, 8531 stands for 8 qualified appointments, 5 committed F&As, 3 qualified clients or closers or life insurance sales, and then you get a recruit. That's, of course, across the kitchen table. All right, so everything that we do, when a new person comes in business, we let them know up front, this is what your numbers should look like. You got to get to that point. Now, obviously, once you get better across the kitchen table, then your numbers get better than that. But if you tell them up front this, then they'll be able to deal with that rejection when it comes, because and actually they'll look forward to it, because that's a way to get to the positive part faster. You understand what I'm saying? Everything revolves around 8531, and the promotion system really revolves around getting people through that system. See, everything that we do when we get a new person in, we want them to be asking, what's next? What's the next thing I need to be doing? What I need to be heading next? And so it all revolves around getting a person promoted to the district leader level. And of course, we got to get them trained, but at the same time, we got to get them licensed. How many hours do you have to take down in Florida? 30, 40, something. Okay. Well, we only got to take 16. We used to have to take 32, but now it's only 16. So, but the system runs where we got to get them trained and we got to get them licensed, obviously. And we let them know, look, we want to get this thing done we want to get you trained. So by the time that license comes 6 weeks from now, you can at least be promoted to district leader. We want you promoted at least in the first 6 weeks. We want to pop them out quick. So think about that 8531. If we go through 2 cycles of that, so we go and see 16 appointments, and you see me do the exact same presentation 16 times, you think you might better pick it up. All I'm doing is flipping and reading. Can you flip and read? They say, yeah. Okay, well, that's 10 financial needs analysis. You'll get a chance to see us ask the questions, get the information, input it, and then 6 clients, but not only 6 clients, because you won't make any money on this before you get your license, but what will happen is you'll see me get you 8 to 10 referrals from each of these clients that we do business with. So I'm gonna expand your market for you. And at the same time, we'll recruit you 2 or 3 people. Now, if you saw me do that, if you did 16 presentations, 10 financial needs analysis, got 6 clients, and saw me get the referrals for those clients, and you saw me recruit 2 or 3 people for you, would you get pretty proficient at doing that? Okay, you should be okay at it, at least where you feel comfortable doing it, right? And so that's a field training process. And then I'll tell you what else I say when I break it down, but we say, okay, then we got to get some classroom training done. And I say, look, nothing that we do is mandatory, but I determine who I personally train by the people who show up to these meetings. Okay. All right. And you don't have to do anything, and I won't think any differently of you. But I got a lot of people I got to train. So we want to get you showing up, getting around so we can get you around this fire. Because we talk differently here than what you hear outside of here. So we want to get you plugged in. Training seminars, things like this, the huge seminars we have, we want to get you plugged into that. So we tell them about all the training, all the process that will help them get trained. And at the same time, we're going to show them how we're going to get them a license. Obviously, they got to fill an independent business application out of IBA. We got to pay the necessary $199. We got to, I don't know what y'all have to do in Florida and in Louisiana. All we got to do is watch a video. Okay? So we watch a certification video, and then we get them plugged into class. All right? And then they got to, of course, take the, securities test once we get them promoted, and we don't push all that stuff on them right away. Okay? But everything we trying to do is get them 6 training sales and 3 recruits, because our organization, that's what it takes to get promoted to district. Okay? And we want to get that done as quickly as we possibly can. So trained and licensed. All right. And so this is what I show people needs to happen. And I know this is stretched out, but I actually draw this out for them as I go through it. And I say, look, you're a representative on a 25% contract. And I ask them, look, would you rather be a district leader? And what does everybody say? Everybody says yes. And so I say, okay, well, let me see how bad you really want to be one. Think about this. Would you rather be on a 12.5% contract or a 50? And I say, would you rather start out untrained, or by the time you get your license, at least have some training taken care of? What do you think they say? Would you rather have, is it funny? Would you rather have 0 recruits on your team, or 3+ recruits on your team by the time you get that license? Would you rather have a list of 50 names of people to go see, or by the time you get your license, have at least 75+ names of people to go see? 75+, right? So what you're telling me is you'd rather us go on and at least get you that district promotion qualification taken care of, rather than starting at representative, right? All right, well, when do we need to get you trained then? Let's get in the field right now. See, that overcomes anything about, well, I'm not going to make money on the first 6. It overcomes all that. Because you said you wanted to get trained, you wanted to be on a 50% contract, you wanted to have some people on your team. See, because what happens is, they say, well, what happened to 12.5%? Well, and obviously I understand different people do it different ways. This is just the way that we do it. But what we do is we tell them, look, we need to get you promoted to district leader, and we got to get you 3 recruits and 6 training sales as soon as possible. As soon as possible. And I actually have something called and if they do it in the first 6, if they do that and 3 more team recruits, so they get 6 total recruits, 6 training sales in the first 6 weeks, what we do is we'll give them, we pay for a Palm Pilot for them. So they do the turbo apps. So district leader, 50% contract. Okay. Now, the next thing, of course, a division leader, I tell them, look, everything revolves around us building you up, you know what I'm saying? And obviously we got production guidelines in there. This is the most important promotion, because everything after that revolves around you showing other people how to do the same thing. Everything after that revolves around you showing other people how to do the same thing. And then, of course, you got a regional vice president. Well, that's the minimum. Now, you should go out with 10 districts and everything else, but that's the minimum. And so everything we do revolves around showing people how to go to RVP as quick as possible. You went to RVP in 6 months, didn't you? You promoted one in 7th month, gave up a replacement, promoted one in 7th month. See, also, you need to be a student of the business, all right? Because everybody in my base shop knows that Jimmy Mine went to RVP in 6 months. All right, Jim Cogan went to RVP in 7 months. He didn't promote an RVP the next month, though, and he didn't do nearly as well as quickly as Jimmy did. But we're a student of the business. We know who did what and what we got to do to try to, compete with those numbers. And then we give them this as a sheet we give them, and it just says, basically we get this form filled out, and we can get you promoted. We got to get the 6 training sales and 3 recruits. This is you. We got to do your personal financial needs analysis. You got to watch the video, get trained. But it talks about getting trained to district leader at least in 45 days. Okay? And so this is what we think, y'all. And y'all tell me if y'all agree with these numbers right here. We don't think it has to take that long. So a person should be able to get the district leader in 6 weeks, right? And they should be able to make 1 to 3,000 as a district leader if they just part-time. They should be able to, in 3 months, they should be able to get the division leader, making 2 to 5 grand. 6 months, regional leader, 3 to 10 grand. RVP, I was fortunate enough, worked hard enough to get there in 10 months. The RVP I promoted, she's at 200,000 right now. She got there in 15 months. She got $100,000. I mean, you know, she just went over her second diamond. She's been in the business for not quite 2.5 years yet. I was talking to Jason on the way over here. I signed up October 22nd, 2003, got my license November 22nd, I mean, November 15th, 2003. So it hadn't been quite 3 years yet, but we trying to, we getting up. She went there at 15 months, and in 3 to 5 years SVP, I mean, we really put modest numbers on here, we think, and then 5 to 7 years NSD, 7 to 10 years SNSD. Okay. Now with the compensation as it is, these numbers really don't even apply because, you know, you got Norman Da Silva who went to RV, you know, he SVP and he's making $1 million a year. So you just got to understand the compensation that we're a part of is even better than it was back then. And think about this, guys. This is actually in the Fast Start Planner. Okay. And this is, I always tell people, look, obviously you want to get promoted to district leader. So what I'm going to do is show you how to get that done as soon as we possibly can. So I'm gonna show you how to do it in 6 weeks, doing bare minimum numbers, working maybe 6 to 10 hours a week. Okay? And you know, everything revolves around you promoting district leaders. So we take the Fast Start Planner, this is the last page in the book, and we say, look, everything, the first thing I write on this page is everything I'm gonna tell you is contingent on this market. Okay, so we gotta be in the right market. But also, this first week, you need to do 3. If you just do 3, and it says TP, but I mean, that's training presentations or kitchen tables, whatever. 3 kitchen table presentations. That's it. You don't have to kill it. You part-time. 1 day a week, we go on 3 kitchen table presentations. And one of the things that I learned, just like this business, just like really anything in life, I think, the pipeline theory goes along with it, right? See, what you got to do is you got to put something in the pipe in order for something to come out on the back end, right? See, I think, unfortunately, a lot of people think that, you know, it doesn't really work like that. You have to continue plugging the pipe. And what you plug the pipe with is you plug it with a positive attitude, constant activity, getting across the kitchen table, coming to meetings, doing recruiting appointments. That's what you plug it in at the beginning because you don't know anything else. You just positive attitude, getting across the kitchen table, doing some recruiting appointments when you can during the day, and coming to whatever they have, you need to be there. Part-time, full-time, that don't matter. You just plug the pipeline. And you have to continuously keep plugging it. And what will eventually start coming out of that pipeline is promotions, money, recognition, and you plug it long enough, obviously financial independence. Okay? So what we tell our new people when they first get into business is, look, we're going to show you how to plug this pipeline. That's what that arrow represents. We're going to show you how to plug this pipeline. All right, and on the other end, I don't know if y'all can see it, but it says 1TS. That's one training cell. All right, that just goes with 8531, right? We go through 3, we get 1. Now, that's if I'm bad. I know I'm better than 1 out of 3. All right, but if you got an average person, go 1 out of 3, right? So then the second, but on every appointment, they have to ask 10 questions, 10 different questions about the presentation. Of course, after the presentation is over with, okay? Some of them you got to remind them that during the whole, wait, you gonna raise them some objections for them to ask, you know, you kicking them on the table, right? They bleeding and stuff, their shins bleeding. 3 training we do the same thing. So they've asked me 30 questions after their first week, and all we did is go see 3 appointments, right? So they're getting more confidence. The next week we do the exact same thing. We get another training cell. And if you can put me in front of 6 people in the right market, I'm a recruit. I mean, I'm going to recruit better, but anybody should be able to recruit at least 1. You know what I'm saying? So that's 2 training cells, 60 questions, 6 appointments, got to recruit, and we do the same thing for 6 weeks. Now, by the time we get to this point down here, they really should, number 1, they should have their license by now. Number 2, they should pretty well know what's going on because they've asked me anywhere from 120 to 150 questions. They've seen the same presentation 15 to 20 times, right? We've recruited them at least 3 or 4 people just across the kitchen table. That's not counting recruiting appointments during the day or people that just come to the opportunity meeting. We got 6 training cells, right? And just going with 8531, they got 3 recruits, 6 training sales. All we did is work 1 day a week, right, for maybe 6 hours in the afternoon, in the evening, 5 hours, 5:30, 7:15, 9 o'clock. Did 3 appointments either in a day, or maybe we did 2 on one day, 1 on another day. But minimum, we did 3, right? And we show them, look, in just 6 weeks, working 6 to 10 hours a week, we can get you promoted to district leader, and your job becomes showing at least 6 to 10 other people how to do that as fast as you want to do it. And then you can make a bunch of money. Because until then, we just playing with it, right? So that's what we teach them. And we show them how simple the process really is. Because it is simple, right? I mean, but you just got to make it simple for them. If you show them, all you're going to do is watch me. All right, this is what you got to learn how to do. Hey, thanks for letting us come over. This is Collis. And then don't say nothing else. If I ask you to say something else, you say something. If not, don't say nothing else. All right? If they ask you if you want something to drink, take it. I don't care if you're thirsty or not. If they ask you want to eat some cookies, you got to do the drinking and eating, because I got to make the presentation. Okay? All right? So just take whatever they give you, because if they're relationship oriented, they're going to be wondering why we not, why we not taking the drink and taking the cookies. All right? So what you do is, after we've shown them that, then we talk to them about the concept of plugging in. Just like if I unplug this Elmo, what would happen to the light? It'd go out, right? So we show them the plug-in theory. And, I got all of this stuff. I've never been one, obviously all Primerica is, plagiarism, or you just take from somebody else. And, all this is Bill Whittle, okay? But I just learned how to be a good copycat. And if we unplug that, it goes out. That's what happens when the new recruit starts plugging into the meetings. They unplug from the meetings, they go out. Because what they hear, it's also the same thing as the charcoal theory, because when we take one of these coals out of this fire, the coal goes out, right? If you throw the coal on the side, it's gonna get stepped on, rained on, kicked in the dirt. That's like their dream outside of the walls of wherever your office is. So we got to keep them plugged in. We got to keep them around the heat source so they stay fired up, right? And then we show them about the different plug-in opportunities that we have for them to stay around. And we talk about the opportunity meetings and Saturday training, and we do something on Sundays and the management. And we just tell them, you want to stay around that heat source. You want to stay around that heat source. All right, so we keep them around there. And what you notice is, Sunday phone team pushes to managers meeting, which pushes to the opportunity meeting on Thursday, which pushes to Saturday training class on Saturday. And that's just the concept of the push point theory. Because if you can move people from point to point to point, then you can change their weekly activity. You can change what they're doing on a weekly basis. That means they're following you now. You know what I'm saying? And so our whole goal is to, get people to move from point to point. One of the things Jason asked me, great question. If he's going to RVP, these are the kind of questions he needs to be trying to figure out for himself. How many people did y'all have showing up to your opportunity meeting? Now we had about 100 people there last night. Our RVP had 60. So, when you put us together, we had about 160 people at the meeting. So that's not a bad turnout. And especially since last night we did a special opportunity meeting for, all the RVPs in the area. We had really about 450 people at our meeting last night. So, everything we do is to push from point to point, no matter if it's the opportunity meeting, if it's Saturday training class. You don't have to come to everything. You just need to come to the next thing. Right? That's what we tell them. You don't have to come to everything. You just need to be at the next thing. And then once we get to the next thing, you just need to be at the next thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's everything we do. Now, Jimmy, I guess tonight I'm gonna talk more about my story, but so I don't have to go into depth. I don't need to go into depth about that right now. Okay. Do I take questions now? But that's everything. That's what we do when it comes to getting people to district leader. It's a pretty simple process. 8531, and putting them through that system.
Well, that's it. You've reached the end of the disc in this CD series by pfsmedia.com. To continue listening, please insert the next CD.